All right. Week 4 done. Week 5 about to start tonight. And we are a quarter away, or almost a quarter away through the football season. Very sad. Playoff baseball. Hoping the Yanks win tonight. I have absolutely no feel. Reed, Phillies. Dodgers are going to be tough. I don't know. Dodgers look really good. I'm praying for you, though, without Wheeler. But, all right, week 4 recap. Carbs beat Rusty 129 to 110. Reed beat Dooley 145 to 114. Brad beat Gaddy in a nail biter 135 to 133. Bobby beat Tyler 144 to 115. Matt beat Ted 111 to 84. And Sidnam, congratulations, did beat me, get his first win, 127 to 111. So that is where we go into last week's score. So we'll go right into it. A little bit of change this week. You'll see. We have a new bottom. It's Tyler. I'm sorry, Tyler. The team is just not very good, man. And I feel for you. It's been a good run. I feel like you've had a lot of success here in the past couple years. But, 0-4, right at the bottom of the league in points scored. And just, again, if Henry and Saquon are not going to get in the end zone and have these big games, I just don't see where the wins are going to come from on a consistent basis. Not saying you can't win a match, but where the win's going to come on a consistent basis. And unfortunately, Frank the Tank was right about literally everything he said about your team this summer. So, listen, it can't get much worse. And, hopefully you bounce back. I know Reed is feeling pretty good about that whole situation. But, hey, it can only get better. That's all I could say. Ted at 11. It's been 84 points, and now with some injuries and, Lamb on the shelf and A.J. Brown, doing some cryptic shit, and he hasn't had a good year. Just kind of Ted's kind of throwing the white flag in for the year. But you got like 9 other teams, Ted, so it's not, whatever. You're good. You're Gucci, bro. But Ted at 11 here, that has kind of made a little bit of a change. I got to move Sidnam up to 10. And it's partly, yes, he did beat me fair and square, although Tyreek Hill broke his leg and Lamar got hurt. But listen, fair and square. But I think you got to be happy with some of the play that Sidnam got from some of the rookies where, Quinshon Judkins has been a nice add to that Cleveland backfield. It's had a couple of good games there. Tyler Warren, I think, is just going to be a problem in this league. I really do. And even Carson Wentz, despite the loss, had a good game last week. Against the Steelers. So, even in that weird spot where now they're in London again against the Browns, interesting situation there. But I think Rome's been solid in the Chicago offense. So, it's a younger team, but I think some pieces are starting to come together, especially with Judkins, if he's going to kind of be the full boat over there. So maybe I underrated Sidnam's team a little bit, underrated a little bit, and, we'll see a 10. To me, that's a clear bottom 3 tier. Then I have the second tier. It's just kind of Dooley's tier. He's all kind of by himself here. And listen, JSN's had a really quietly good year. Hasn't been much in the touchdown department, but has a ton of receiving yards. And Amarion's been great the last 2 weeks. I mean, the first 2 weeks, he was a little quiet, but you've seen him the last couple of weeks get in the end zone, had the big run against the Giants, and, just questions with their offensive line and protecting Justin Herbert. I feel like they're going to start to lean on him more, especially with the interior of their offensive line being the strength of that team right now. So I think Hampton is such a weapon, man. He's been really good so far. And I think Tucker Kraft is going to have a good year as well. I got Bobby's team at 8. It's not the fact that it's his team, had a great week, and you would think 144 points, but without Malik Neighbors moving forward, that is it's a pretty big loss for a team that and again, I think I have a specific tier of 8, 7, 6, 5 in the power rankings that are very close. To me, those are very, very close in how I rank them. You give or take, a point of a made-up system that I have. But I look at Bobby's team, and yeah, the running backs are great with Cook and Genty, but, you got to start Tyquan Thornton. if Jaden Daniels is healthy, okay. Bowers he's been okay. He hasn't been great. He's been okay so far. Geno Smith's had a bad start to the year. I think his team will be okay, but the inconsistency of Marv. Now you have Malik Neighbors on the bench. Brock Bowers has had an okay start to the season. There's just not a lot of depth there. Not saying he can't be good. Not saying Bobby can't get back to number 5. But as of right now, I just think the other teams ahead of him are slightly better, even coming off the big week. But I think it's more long-term, the fact that Malik Neighbors is out for the year. And who knows, with the ACL, he may not be 100% to come back to the start of the 26 season. So just ahead of them is Brad at 7. Big win against Gaddy. I give him a ton of credit. Pickens and Ferguson, listen, without CeeDee Lamb and how bad that Cowboys defense is, the offense is going to score a ton of points. That was predicted. Dak's going to throw the ball all over the field. He's done that well. And Ferguson has now kind of become that number 2 in that offense with CeeDee Lamb out. So both those guys have put up pretty good numbers. And it gets a good Packers defense who, they were killing the Commanders a couple weeks ago. Now you see this Packers defense, not give up a lot against the Browns, but the Cowboys did whatever they wanted to offensively. So I think that's a good sign, despite Chase Brown might be a 0 this year. That's just a tough situation with Cincinnati and all their weapons. I have Jamar Chase in the league, and I just feel like I'm fucked. So Brad at 7. I got Matt at 6, but Matt's had some luck. It's 3-1, but has the least points scored against by a pretty good margin. I think the team's good. I think Garrett Wilson is just on a bad spot, bad team. I like the way Matt's team's playing so far. I think the quarterback depth's good with Murray and Mayfield. But I will say, is the luck going to run out at some point where he's going to start seeing some better scores against him? Because think about it. If I look at the standings right now, nobody is in the 400. Nobody's less than 400 points against except for Matt. Matt has 339 points against. The next lowest on that list is 426. So Rusty and Brad have 426 against. So Matt has almost 100 points against less than anybody else. So we'll see what happens when the luck starts to turn, but I think the team is still good. The team has played well. Matt's put up points. That hasn't been the problem. Right there in the middle of the pack with points for. It's just had some luck on the other side. But listen, can't control that. So I still got Matt at 6. I got Rusty at 5 for now. I think when you look at Rusty's team, I think there's things that you really like, especially the running backs. I've talked about that. I think that's a really good spot. And he's doing this without Ladd McConkey doing a fucking thing. Ladd McConkey hasn't done anything. And, the way that Chargers offense looked against the Giants defense and with their tackles being hurt, I'm very curious what the Chargers passing attack's going to look like. But, despite having Ladd not do anything, Taylor's been maybe RB1 in fantasy this year. So I think Rusty's team's still really good. But again, Rusty, Matt, Brad, Bobby, that's like a tier for me. And I think you guys are all very close. It's going to be interchangeable as the season goes on. And then I have Carbs at 4. Again, Drake London finally having that big game. Needed that so bad because he's so good, and I think he was going higher in drafts this year. I think Drake London's a good player. But I still got Carbs at 4. Again, having Josh Allen, just having that consistent, great quarterback. The team is healthy and is in good shape. Speaking of healthy and not in good shape, I'm putting myself at 3. I'm a little worried. I have to start Mac Jones tonight. That is not what you want to do in a game against Reed, who we'll get to in a minute. But having Tyreek Hurt out for the year, the receiver depth's okay, but not having Lamar for a couple weeks is going to suck. Not having Brock Purdy tonight sucks. So, Mac Jones, you're the guy. Let's try to keep it close here. And I got Kyron tonight too, so we'll see how that goes. But he's got Puka Nacua Reed, and Puka's been the best receiver in fantasy this year. And we do have a new number 1, but it is not Gaddy. We're moving Gaddy back to 2. I did say that if the team didn't play better or win, I would have to move Gaddy down. Well, he lost to Brad in a nail-biter. Still put up a good amount of points. I still think the team is good, despite getting 0 from Jamar Chase. I just don't know what you do at that point with a guy that's so good in just a bad situation. And Jefferson's, I think Wentz can at least get the ball to Jefferson. That's at least the one thing you can at least hope on. But Bijan had a great game. The team's still in really good shape. But at 2-2, I couldn't keep you at number one anymore. And I got to put Reed at number one because the team overall is just in a really good spot. He has me this week on a tough spot. Reed has scored the most points in the league, consistently putting up 140 burgers. You look at what you've gotten from J.K. Dobbins. He's been a really nice add to the Broncos offense. Amon-Ra and Puka have been going off the last couple weeks. Trey McBride, even if he's not getting in the end zone, is going to catch a lot of balls. And then obviously Jalen Hurts, we talk about it, is the fantasy monster. He's not going to run it in, he's going to throw it in. But mostly just run it in because that's all that matters. And I think Walker's still a solid piece. So I just think I really like where Reed's team is at right now, especially with the receivers. I don't think there's a better receiver duo playing right now. I think Jamar Chase and Jefferson are better. But in terms of what you've gotten fantasy-wise this year, you would have to give it to those two guys as the best duo in the league. So we have a new number one for now. Let's see how it all kind of goes down here. And as we get into week number 5, I take on Reed in a big matchup. I'm banged up this week. Got a lot of injuries. Lost Tyreek Hill. Is the team going to be good enough? We'll see. Reed's team's really hot right now. You got Gaddy versus Matt. Listen, Matt, Gaddy's not going to put up 84 points like you have the last couple weeks against you. So if Matt can hold on against Gaddy, maybe he holds on to the number 6 spot for now. Bobby versus Sidnam. I think you're looking at 1-3. I think if Bobby really wants to put himself in the mixer, you got to win this matchup. But Sidnam's team played really well last week, so I got to give him a ton of credit there. And then you got Ted and Tyler. Bottom of the barrel, maybe tanking for Jeremiah Love out of Notre Dame as the first pick in next year's fantasy draft. So that's an interesting matchup there. You got Dooley and Carbs. Carbs at 3-1, had a really solid season so far. Dooley at 2-2. After winning the first 2, lost the next 2. Can he stay in that mix and avoid going under 500? And then you got Rusty and Brad, who I think are very evenly matched, very close. And then we got Rusty at 2-2, Brad at 3-1. So, this is kind of where you start to kind of solidify yourselves in the power rankings for now. So I will be away next weekend, so there might not be a power ranking, just given that a heads up now. I'm going to be out of the country. May have to do a double power rankings when I get back, which wouldn't be till 2 weeks from today anyway. So we'll have to make up for lost ground. So there might not be a power ranking next week. I don't know yet. I'm probably not going to be able to swing it. So that's all, and I will talk to you guys later.